What's going on, people? It's Emmanuel for Altenor Media. Now, for all you 13 Reasons Why fans, please make sure to subscribe to the channel as I will be doing reviews of each episode of the season. And I'll try to get them out as soon as possible because I know everybody is binging right now. So let's get into the reaction of episode 2 of the season, which was titled Two Girls Kissing. Now, in this episode, we saw the return of Courtney. Now, last season, Courtney and Hannah were involved in some drama because some pictures came out of them kissing. But we never really got the full story surrounding that. And Courtney kind of she did throw Hannah under the bus. But now in this season, episode 2, Courtney was called back, and through her subpoena, she had to testify in the trial. So now we learned what really happened between her and Hannah. The prosecution tried to spin it and make it seem like Hannah was in love with Courtney and she was bullying Courtney. But it turns out that Courtney is the one that had the huge crush on Hannah. So when they showed pictures of them kissing for the second time, because the first time it was just a game, but then they kissed the second time. And Courtney revealed that Hannah just gave her that second kiss, just to be a good friend because Hannah had just found out that Courtney really had feelings for her. So Hannah just didn't want to ruin her first kiss. And now we see a different Courtney than we saw last season. Last season, Courtney was just cutthroat and ruthless. She wanted to protect her secret at all costs. She didn't give a damn about nobody. But now this season, she came clean. She kind of had the chance to throw Hannah under the bus again because Hannah's not here to defend herself, but she really came clean and she admitted, she came out the closet basically in that episode in a courtroom full of people. So this was a huge shift for Courtney. But this also shows just how far the school and the lawyers will go to win this case and to just clear their names, that they're throwing dirt on Hannah's name and everyone who's being subpoenaed, possibly if they're speaking out against the school. The school is, their lawyers are really coming at them. And I want to talk about Zach and his family for a little bit, because Zach, he's like, we think that he comes off as a nice guy, but he's really just a coward, really going with the flow. He knows what Bryce did, but he's still associated with Bryce. I know they're on the baseball team together, but he's still friends with Bryce. His mother wants to use Bryce's lawyer to represent Zach when he gets subpoenaed. So I really think Zach he's just a coward. He's just all over the place. And Mr. Porter now, he's trying to really make up for, I guess, his mistake last season when how he reacted to Hannah's revelation that she was raped by Bryce. So he's really going all out. He forced Tyler to go to some class that he's teaching, and he approached Jessica to, just see how she's doing, making her go to see him, hopefully. And then we see he got into it a little bit with the baseball coach, because the baseball coach noticed that Mr. Porter, he's not playing games with these kids. He wants to really clean up the school and clean up that toxic environment, but baseball coach wants him to just lay off on the kids and not target the athletes. But Mr. Porter stood his ground. So that was an interesting interaction between him and the coach. So now you know that this is not just a small problem. This could be a whole larger issue. Well, we know it's a larger issue. And we also got through some of Courtney's story, we got more of Hannah's mom, Mrs. Baker, how her part in Hannah's downward spiral, how she contributed to it in some way. When Hannah saw, she didn't know that it was Tyler who was taking pictures of her, but when she told her mother that she saw somebody out of a window, her mother really was just so dismissive and so condescending, but in like a snide way. Like, who would be stalking you? Who are you? Are we a celebrity now? So in that way, her mother just had a way of making her feel low, and she didn't even know. Because now there was a part where her mother said that the trial is they're painting a Hannah that she didn't even know. This is not someone she knows. But I think what she really means, the trial is showing her herself that she didn't know. Because the trial is showing her faults with Hannah. So that was pretty interesting. The trial is really showing Mrs. Baker the ugly side of her, another person of herself that she doesn't know. And also we saw her in the first episode. In the beginning, we saw Mrs. Baker. She was strong and fierce, but already within the first 2 episodes, she's already completely broken down. She kept the old dress that she was wearing when she found Hannah in the bathtub. And when, I guess that's her counsel, part of her team, when that woman cleaned the dress, she was just flipped out completely. And I think it's a lot of the guilt that she feels also. And it's basically costing her marriage too. But we also may see that the woman counsel that's staying with her, I think she may have some ulterior motives, or maybe she's trying to maybe live through Mrs. Baker, get some kind of justice, maybe, because her daughter went through the same thing, and now they've brought in like a lot of other women who are there for support, but Mrs. Baker, lawyer, warned her that you don't want to turn this into a circus. You want to make sure that they know that this is your show. And we also got the return of Sherry. Now, if you remember, I think last season she's the one who ran down the stop sign that caused the other guy who was cool as hell with Clay. She caused his death, when she knocked down the stop sign. And now we see just a whole different Sherry. Last season she was just so put together, so focused, so organized, and so just clean, like just a pristine image. And now when she came back, it was just real more laid back. She doesn't really give a damn about anything. Now she has to go to summer school and things like that. And when she walked out of Mr. Porter's his room, his office, she just gave like a crazy remark. So what else we have here? Oh, Clay and Skye. Now their situation is really interesting because we know that Clay isn't over Hannah, and now Skye really knows that too, and that's really bugging her. So she basically invites herself over to Clay's house, and Clay walks in and she's cooking with the father, and they end up having dinner, and then she goes and does some freaky stuff with him. She reaches him under the table and starts touching him. So they go upstairs and they start getting into it, but Clay starts to, he feels Hannah. So he rejects her once again. So this is the second time he's rejected her when they're about to get it on. And she just flips out. And she tells him, tell me you love me and tell me, I think something about that he's over Hannah, and he couldn't do that. So she basically flipped out and ran, and then she ended up hurting herself. Now Clay is kind of blaming himself. So now I guess we're seeing more and more of, is it that, does Clay love Skye, or is he trying to save her because he couldn't save Hannah? So, and all this time, Hannah has returned in Clay's subconscious, and he's talking to her. I guess maybe she's there to help him through all of his issues, but her remark at the end just sent him off, and he just barked on her, which was something we wouldn't expect. But Clay is going off the edge. And also we see that everyone is starting to get notes now. Jessica had someone left a noose, a woman, like a blow up doll with a noose tied around his neck outside her house. Tyler got a note, and I think who else? One other person got a note, I believe. So everyone is starting to get notes. So somebody is trying to shut everybody up. So we have to find out who's doing that. And even Bryce got a subpoena, and he was pissed about that. So it's going to be interesting to see what he says about that. What else do we have for this second? Oh yeah, we did notice that Tony is bonding with Mrs. Baker also, but it's going to be interesting because Tony has some secrets of his own. So how is that going to play into a relationship? And it's interesting that Tony is now her rock and not her husband. So Hannah's death has destroyed that whole, the Baker's life, even their marriage. And so also Mr. Porter, he's going to be called at some point too. So his secrets may end up coming out. What else we have here? Let me make sure that I covered everything for this episode, because y'all know I take my notes. Yeah, Justin got a note too. Which he was the other guy who got the. Oh yeah, one other thing. Last episode, I thought it was Bryce who was on that Polaroid, but it's another guy who was on that Polaroid from the last year. So the year before. So this may be a trend where this is part of larger cover-ups. This may be just something that's more normal than usual. So I'm guessing this thing with Bryce, this is just a pattern. This is something that happens, more than we know, and that's going to come to light. So maybe this is just a whole baseball team thing. So that'll be interesting to see how that story plays out. But I think that's pretty much it for episode 2. So let me know what you thought about episode 2 and where you think the story is going to go from there. Make sure to like this video, comment, share this video, and subscribe to Altenor Media once again. I'm going to be back to do another review on episode 3 and every episode following that. So once again, I'm Emmanuel. Thanks for watching. Peace.